Well, this is interesting. The famous and very well put together DuckStation emulator for the original PlayStation, PS1, PSX sometimes referred to, has recently relicensed itself. And it has gone from being a free and open source project to a source available project. And it's done so in a way that I find interesting, and the reasons behind and the rationale behind the relicensing I also find interesting, but not really compelling. Let's talk about this. But before we get to that, let's talk about the backstory here. So if you're not familiar, DuckStation is a PlayStation 1 emulator, and it's actually one of the best ones out there right now. DuckStation has great compatibility, excellent performance, even on low-end systems like 32-bit Arch architectures and more. It even has a RISC-V 64-bit build, which is crazy to me. It has tons of features, the kind of things that you would expect from any contemporary emulator at this point. And like I said, its system requirements are super low. So pretty much any system out there can do not just basic PlayStation 1 emulation, but even some enhanced PlayStation 1 emulation. So pretty much since the project's inception, they've used the GPL public license, or the GNU public license. I'm not sure exactly which version. However, as of September 1st, they switched over to the PolyForm strict license, which I had actually never heard of. But we're not even going to touch on the PolyForm strict license, because on the 13th, they switched over to the Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives 4.0 International license. To give you a brief summary of what this license is, you're free to copy and redistribute the binary form of DuckStation for any purpose as long as it is non-commercial in nature. You have to provide correct attribution, you have to provide a link to the license in question, and you have to indicate if changes were made. However, this also is a non-derivative license, meaning that you're not allowed to remix, transform, or build upon the material and then go forward and distribute that modified material. And you also can't distribute anything, whether original or remixed, if it's commercial in nature. If you're making money from redistributing DuckStation, well, that's against the rules of the license. If you remix, transform, add anything to, remove anything from DuckStation, that's also not allowed by this license. However, the question is, how is the community supposed to contribute anything if the license prevents people from redistributing their modifications? I don't know. That's interesting. There's no carve out for that specific scenario here. And it's why most software projects are licensed under something like the MPL or the GPL or even BSD. It's because there has to be some kind of like method for people to redistribute their modified versions of a piece of software. Now, the question is, why did they make this change? Now, Stenzek, the creator and maintainer, the primary guy behind DuckStation, said, "I'm well aware of how licenses work. That's why I changed it, to make it very clear and a deterrent due to certain parties violating the old license by not attributing and stripping my copyright. Packagers being collateral damage was a beneficial side effect, considering that they don't clearly mark their versions as modified, which is also a GPL requirement. They break functionality and expect upstream, meaning the project themselves, to provide support." Now, I can kind of understand where Stenzek is coming from here, where you have, various different packages in various different operating systems that have been either modified or changed in a way that breaks certain features, and then having like the users of whatever operating system that provides that package coming to DuckStation to ask for help. Stenzek didn't package it, and he doesn't know how they packaged it, so how is he supposed to help? I get that. That seems quite frustrating to me. And the fact that some parties that were redistributing it were stripping his license and copyright, not attributing the build of the project to Stenzek himself, I mean, I get that also being frustrating. However, I don't really see how changing a license is going to change the behavior of some people, right? Now, look, I know that there's a lot of people who will be upset about this because, technically speaking, the Creative Commons license is not an open source license as defined by the OSI, especially not this specific Creative Commons license. But at the same time, Stenzek, the creator here, who is also working with many people in this community and given him their blessing to change the license, at least according to him, he has a right to do this. I mean, this is his project. He has the copyright to it. And he's gone through and rewritten large portions of his code base in order to remove content created by people who were not okay with him relicensing. As he says, if you're not a copyright holder, then you are not in a position to make any demands. I find it especially ironic considering when the GPL was actually violated on multiple occasions, even as recent as a few months ago, nobody ever takes issue with that. I've restricted the repository to contributors only, and if they have concerns, they are more than welcome to do so here. If this turns into harassment, then I'm just going to shut the whole thing down, because I'm way too busy with my actual job to be dealing with unsubstantiated drama from a hobby that is supposed to be fun. Please consider how the community would benefit from that. And I mean, yeah, look, Stenzek has the right to do this. The code and the contributors of that code have given Stenzek permission to do this. There is the code base that is pre-GPL that can be forked, and if the community has an issue with the way Stenzek is moving that project, they can fork it. Anyone can fork it. Now, there's also the question of how is this going to impact the community, right? Because it's licensed under the Creative Commons, it is licensed for individuals to use DuckStation however they see fit. You can even modify the code of DuckStation, but you just can't share your modifications with other people. But what about projects like EmuDeck, right? Now, EmuDeck uses the FlatHub version of DuckStation, and coincidentally, DuckStation is being distributed on FlatHub by Stenzek himself. So EmuDeck won't be affected here. And truthfully, most people who are using a Linux build or a Windows build are going to be getting DuckStation from the GitHub releases tab or through something like FlatHub. And that's sanctioned by this license since Stenzek is the owner. So I guess I don't see this as being a huge roadblock for a project like EmuDeck, where they're basically just running the Flatpak command to install DuckStation through FlatHub, which is being distributed by Stenzek himself. So this won't be a problem for most people, but it will be an issue for people who care about free software, because according to this license, it's no longer. Now, I didn't bring this topic up. I didn't make this video to send harassment Stenzek's way. So if you watch this video and you feel inspired to go harass him, you should stop watching my channel, because you are not a true fan of what I'm doing here. And you're not a fan of free software by harassing people either. So you need to knock that off and grow up and become an adult. We're just talking about software here, guys. So yeah, I'm kind of torn about this. I mean, Stenzek has a right to do this. Personally, I don't really like the way that this is headed. I'd like to see more open source and not less. So yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I mean, this is a worrying trend in the world of software and the free software movement, where, you know, either bigger projects come in and literally rip off open source creators by exploiting what I feel are possible loopholes in open source licenses right now. But also, that's just kind of how the licenses were designed, and I can understand it from both sides. So yeah, leave me a comment. Let me know your thoughts. What can be done to solve issues like this? Do we need some kind of open source watchdog that goes around and literally polices open source license abuse? I'd be interested in what that would look like. Let me know. I mean, I might even consider contributing money to that on a monthly basis to police open source licenses. But yeah, that's just my thoughts. That's my 2 cents. I'd love to hear from you. Let me know in the comments below what you think about any of this going on here with DuckStation or any of the larger companies that have been relicensing their software under source available code, or source available licenses, I should say. With that, you can check out some of my other videos here. I got a nice playlist for you if you're interested in emulation. Other than that, that's going to do it for now. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.